I, Dear members and students, good morning. I welcome you all to today's webinar on the theme Positivity and Power of Thoughts by Sri Swami Veerashananda Saraswati. Swamiji, my pranams to your lotus feet.
Namaste.
Friends, as known to you all, novel coronavirus COVID-19 is a global pandemic and has disrupted the social and business activities worldwide. The whole world is standstill and almost all the countries in the world are under lockdown. The World Health Organization has acknowledged that the crisis is generating stress and has advised people to avoid watching, reading, or listening to news that causes feelings of anxiety or distress. We are facing challenging times, and many of us may be experiencing anxiety disturbing our thoughts. Being a governance professional, we have a greater responsibility towards discharging duties for the revival of business and economy. This demands a healthy and a balanced thought process for carrying out duties in these challenging times. Friends, it is said that positive thinking can achieve impossible, and every thought we think is creating our future. To dispel negative thoughts, we have requested most revered Sri Swami Veerashananda Saraswati Swamiji to enlighten us, which will help all our members and students to enliven, motivate, strengthen our mind and bring positive energy. Before I request Revered Swamiji to address us, I will briefly introduce His Holiness. Sri Swami Veerashananda Saraswati is the president of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Ashrama, Tumkur. He is a BE in Electronics and Communication from Mysore University. He initiated his spiritual life in 1988. Most important programs in which Swamiji has participated and delivered lectures are as under: Special discourse in All India Ramakrishna Vivekananda Bhavan Prachara Parishad Convention held at Belur Math headquarters in West Bengal. Dear members, as you all know, in 1893, Swami Vivekananda had addressed World Parliament of Religion. I am proud and delighted to inform you that Sri Veerashananda Saraswati had also addressed the World Parliament of Religion on June 2004 at Barcelona, Spain. Swamiji has been chief guest in various international events, in International Yoga Day in Rome, Milan, Paris, International Leadership Training Camp at Seoul, South Korea in 2007, special discourses for students in more than 70 engineering colleges and more than 100 degrees colleges. One of the special feat is special discourses for more than 10 lakh students in last 25 years, distributing scholarship schemes for financially poor students. Discourses for more than 1 lakh teachers, PCH students, lectures and professors. Revered Swamiji has written several literary books and articles. Few amongst them are Swami Vivekananda and Manava Upadhyaya, book published by Tumkuru University, audio CDs of discourses published by Gokhale Institute, Bengaluru, and many other accomplishments are there. He has also been honored as an honorary doctorate by Tumkuru University on 11th November 2011. Friends, members, students, I am once again proud and delighted to say that in Karnataka, Sri Veerashananda Saraswati has been conferred Siddhaganga Sri Shivkumar Award by world-renowned Siddhaganga Mutt. All will recall that in Karnataka, late Sri Shivkumar Swamiji is known as Living God and who is also a Padma Bhushan. With this brief introduction, I will now request, since all our esteemed members would be eagerly awaiting to hear from Swamiji. Swamiji, I once again welcome you and I once again bow to your holy feet and request to kindly address us.
Om Pavitram Charitam Yasyaha Pavitram Jivanam Tatha Pavitrata Swarupinyai Tasyai Kurmo Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shraddha Rupena Samsthita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Salutations at the holy feet of Divine Almighty. My respects to the President, Vice President and the Board of Directors of Association of Company Secretaries of India. My love and good wishes to all the students who are pursuing their Company Secretary course. Good morning to one and all. I feel it is an honor for me to be in our midst to share some of my thoughts with you. I am associated with the Company Secretary organization since 13-14 years. Shri Gopalakrishna Hegde, a good devotee of our ashram and a prominent officer, office bearer equally at the national level, got introduced to me a few years back, and I felt very happy to get his association. So through him, I started understanding the nature of work our company secretaries are doing and their wonderful service activities to the society at large. Simultaneously, our Sri Nagendra Rao was introduced to me by Gopal Krishna, and equally, I feel this group of the band of very good officers, they are doing their might to make this association not only successful, but morally and ethically strong. My respects to Sri Chandran, Sri Atavale, Sri Ravi, and all other office bearers, and my good wishes to more than 3 lakh students pursuing this wonderful course. It's high time to seriously think of the importance of positive thoughts in our day-to-day life. At the outset, I want to share some of my thoughts with you with regard to the importance of human birth. Because spiritually and equally scientifically, it is firmly believed that the human birth is a very rare opportunity. Science proclaims that Homo sapien, I mean to say man, is the greatest species in nature. Spirituality says, in the words of Shankaracharya, if I want to say, Durlabham trayame vaitat, Daivanugraha hetukam, Manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshaya. To get the human birth, it is really our fortune. And after getting this birth, we must strive hard to have the moral and ethical way of life to our credit. And ultimately, if we can transform our human life to the level of the divine life, that is the real purpose of any human being's existence. So, Darwin, a very popular scientist, proclaimed that there is struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But spiritual science says at human level, it is not mere struggle for existence, rather it is struggle for expansion. Struggle for expansion speaks about the expansion of life, the holistic approach of our life. That is very important. That is very important. Swami Vivekananda very many times mentioned that we must spiritualize our day-to-day life. So this is very important. And even Albert Einstein, while participating in one of the international conferences that was meant for astronomers, one renowned astronomer made a statement like this: man is an insignificant dot in this universe, in this infinite universe, he said. Albert Einstein, later on, while he was called to talk, he says, yes, I do feel so, that this very invisible dot, I'm telling you, man is an invisible, very insufficient, very small, I must say. This small dot, he is such a small dot compared to the infinite universe. Einstein says, this very small dot, the man is also an astronomer. So here also we get a glimpse that man is not an ordinary creation. Man has a purpose in his life. And there is an ocean of difference between life and existence. We must always keep this in our mind. As Swami Vivekananda beautifully said, life is the unfoldment and development of a being under the circumstances tending to press it down. Life is a challenge, life is a struggle, and it is a continuous struggle. And we are all familiar with the words of a great man, that success is not final and failure is not fatal. So these words of inspiration helps us to have a wider perspective of our life. Today, you have asked me to talk on the subject positivity. I mean to say, the power of the positive thoughts. Positive thoughts, they are more concerned about the mental and the emotional side of our personality. Positive thinking always helps us to gain more strength, more vigor, to become more optimistic in our life, and to face the challenges in the right way. If I say so, definitely I don't say that maximum people in the world are happy towards, or they are partial towards the positive thinking. Since you have the mentality where skepticism, cynicism, pessimism have become the attitude of the mind, you have many of the people who doesn't obey, respect, and support positive thinking. But slowly, when you study the world at large, slowly the number of positive thinkers is increasing in a geometric proportion today. So keeping this in mind, we have to think of the importance of positive thinking. Sri Ramakrishna, one of the greatest positive thinkers the world has ever seen, he, during one of his conversations with his disciple Narendranath, who later became Swami Vivekananda, he advised Narendranath not to pray for his own self-salvation, rather, you must live for the salvation of the world. That means to say, just by immersing yourself in meditation and aiming for your own salvation, that has a transformed form now. When you fight for the salvation of the world, that is the highest level of spirituality. This was the advice given by Sri Ramakrishna to his beloved disciple, Swami Vivekananda. And to quote the words of Sri Sharada Devi, the Holy Mother, she says, one of the best teachings of Mother, I am quoting just now, if you want peace of mind, don't find fault with others. Make the whole world yours. If at all, if you are anxious to find any faults, please start your process by searching for the faults that are in your individual personality. If you can make the whole world yours, there will be no stranger in the world. Excellent words of Sharada Devi. And even the psychiatrists and psychologists of 21st century, they agree with this wonderful message of Sri Sharada Devi. So, my dear friends, this principle of positive thinking, it is a great positive strength in our lives. We must always keep in our mind that even though the number of negative thinkers, the cynicism people, the pessimism supporting people are there in plenty in our society, but developing positive attitude is a great art, not only for our own upliftment and salvation, but also to establish peace, harmony in the society at large. We are all familiar with the human nature where without even verifying properly, we always think about the negatives of other people. To our surprise, even with an unknown personality, when we have an opportunity to think about him, first we think about his negatives. He may not be pure, he may not be sincere, he may not be truthful. This man is very new to us. Even with a new man, our nature of thinking, it starts in a negative way. This is very bad. At the same time, we must keep in our mind that as much as possible, we shall reduce the negative comments about any person, whether he is familiar or he is a stranger to us. And if possible, if we can treat him as our own nearest and dearest, that will provide us wonderful positive energy that helps a lot in our day-to-day activity, and that will truly strengthen us. Negative thoughts usually come because of tension, depression, and weak mind. To overcome this, we have to surrender to the words of great souls of the world. We have come across great souls from different religions of the world who have taught the whole world how to live a meaningful human life. In the society, as we all know, the position and power plays a vital role. We respect people in higher positions. We ignore, ill-treat, belittle the people who are doing the common jobs in the society. Swami Vivekananda, he corrects us by telling that even a fool can accomplish the work which is nearer to his heart, but it is an intelligent man who can transform every responsibility to his credit, every work to his credit, into a loving job, into a work of his appreciation and his commitment. As we all know, our respect towards the scavengers may not be so much, because in our view, they are doing very, very ordinary work. But at the same time, we must keep in our mind that they are doing the critical job. You just imagine COVID-19, the coronavirus has disturbed the social life of the entire globe. Doctors have come to our rescue, the paramedical forces, the corporate workers, the scavengers, the volunteers of different organizations. They have left their houses. I know many of the doctors, they have not gone to their house since 1 month. they have small kids in the house, they have aged parents. With all that, I was surprised. I was moved to see that a group of doctors, while speaking to our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji had all respect and gratitude, reverence to our. Are you hearing me properly?
Yes, we can hear you, Swamiji.
Yes, reverence to our doctors. The doctors said, Prime Minister Saab, we are doing our work. We are not doing anything special. So we are doing our part of work. When the great culture of India has given us the pride, Vaidyo Narayano Harihi, we are the representatives of God. This is the dictum from time immemorial. We have to do our work. You just imagine their large-heartedness and their service attitude in treating our patients of today's world. See, even the scavengers I mentioned about, they are taking care of us. That is a critical job, you should know, but they are doing that job very sincerely. So keeping this in mind, we should never treat an ordinary man just for the reason that he is doing an ordinary job. See, it is not something like by doing a big job, I'll become a big man. By doing an ordinary job, I'll be an ordinary man in the society. No. Whether the job is small or big, when we can do the job with a good heart, with great intentions, with great love and affection, this is very important. This is what Bhagavatam insists us to do. What is that? Any work before us, can you transform your work into service? This is a challenge put forth. When we are capable of transforming our work into service, it is the elevated form of our work. And you should not stop there itself. The service must get amalgamated with another beautiful virtue called reverence. When work becomes service and service coupled with this reverence, then only it becomes worship. Work is worship is a great ideal before us. We are familiar with these two words, work and worship. Work and worship, in majority of the people's mind, they have a notion of difference. Work and worship are different. But you have a small percentage of people who treat this formula as work as worship. But you have the microscopic minority percentage who doesn't find even an iota of difference between work and worship. So this is the greatest thought ancient Indian rishis recommended us. So I request all our youngsters, all our officers to develop this mindset that is most important. Let us wake up ourselves. Let us take up the challenges. Let us make up our minds. And finally, let us come up in our life with lot of positivity is the essence of today's lecture. Amrita Bindu Upanishad says, we all know that there is butter in milk. Likewise, each soul is potentially divine. The pure consciousness is residing in every human being. And that ought to be constantly churned out by the churning rod of mind. So this is more important. While we deal with people, we should deal with a mindset that we are worshipping the God dwelling in that personality. Once Abraham Lincoln, while speaking in one of the convocation addresses, he beautifully made a mention of how much sincere he is to his work. He says, if you give me 6 hours time to cut a tree, I shall use the first 4 hours of time to sharpen my axe. That speaks about the beautiful preparation period. How much it is important is to be known by one and all. With regard to the management skills, we must be very careful, and also this is very high time to know about the holistic approach of our management work. Many a times we forget that our minds and we individually are interconnected. We forget this. But once we all feel that all the living beings are interconnected, a respectful attitude of honesty, help, seva, care, and encouragement, once we establish such virtues, then only we become very successful. Here, this is not only the main skill of management, it is the only skill of management we should know. Our world has changed, our societies have changed, but unfortunately, our methods of management are yet to change in a significant degree. Keeping this in mind, tomorrow's managers of our society should be taught about the capabilities, something like imaginative capabilities and inspirational capabilities. So, to quote the words of Jamshedji Tata, Tata is a very successful man we are all familiar with, and Jamshedji Tata's family had the blessings of Albert Swami Vivekananda, and upon his advice, Jamshedji Tata established Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And at the same time, I insist all our youngsters to go through the life-giving message of Swami Vivekananda. To quote 2-3 books, complete works of Vivekananda, letters of Vivekananda, and even Swami Ranganathanandaji's a few volumes, Eternal Values for a Changing Society. If you are familiar with Kannada language, you can look into the books written by most revered Swami Purushottamanandaji in Kannada and Swami Jagadatmanandaji's Badukalu Kaliyiri, Learn to Live. These are very, very important books for any human being for that matter. So Jamshedji Tata, once he beautifully said, when I work, I feel everything depends on me. When I pray, I sincerely feel that God is everything and completely I depend on God. Henry Ford, a very successful industrialist, said, there are 3 important aspects which are responsible for my success in my life. First one, hard work. Second one, hard work. Third and the final one, hard work. To execute work, we must be very cautious. Many a times, it is very unfortunate that nowadays we see more paper-oriented work than work-oriented culture. That is not at all worthy. So, to execute work, we must have a special mindset. Mere giving instructions will not be suffice. For example, to quote a worthy example, I shall go to the time of Lal Bahadur Shastri. When he was a railway minister, he was traveling towards a village. It is Sevapuri near Varanasi. So he got down from the train. While getting down from the train, he found some discomfort because the land level at that particular point was not proper. A few lady travelers who got down from the train before Shastriji murmured that let him experience this difficulty to get down from the train. Shastriji could heard this. Immediately he called the staff members, asked them to get him some crowbar and spade. Immediately he started digging the land, and many of the people joined him, and within half an hour, that problem which was there for the past few months got the solution. It got eradicated. So that means to say, execution of work is more important than giving instructions. We must keep this in our mind. This is most important. And Tata, as I said, is a very practical personality. He speaks what he does. That is very important. He says, the effective execution of any plan is what really counts more than what we record on a paper. Generally, the plans will be recorded beautifully on a paper. But when it comes to execution point, you will see the dilution. Tata very much reminds us, execution part is more important than what you write on the paper. He gives a beautiful example, comparison. See, it is not what we put on our plates to eat, or it is not the food what we put into our stomach for getting the nourishment. Rather, it is what we really digest. Deep thought and hard work are the requisites, he says. These are very practical ideas, very practical ideas. Upanishads recommends us to go positively, and very, very frequently they insist us never to bother about the success or the failure. Chandogya Upanishad says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukhamasti. Yo vai bhuma, that which is big. That means to say, think in a big way. Low aim is a crime. Think in a big way. And you must plan very sincerely. And this planning, this execution needs quite a good amount of patience. This patience, just now I quoted the example of Abraham Lincoln, who said just to sharpen the axe, he will utilize 4 hours out of 6 hours duration allotted to him, and then he will cut the tree, he said. See, this speaks about the preparation period, the real preparation period, the things what we want to execute, that should be properly planned. It should not be impractical. It should not be something like impossible equally. So these are the things we must keep in our mind. In olden days, human lived in the forests. People ate people. But today we are living in cities. We don't eat each other, but we cheat. We are cheating. See, this cheating is not at all required. We should know. For any success, cheating is not a criterion. And by cheating, we will not achieve anything. Cheating can never bring you peace of mind. Cheating can never bring you the success to digest in the real sense. And the world has beyond doubt realized that materialism and all its miseries can never be conquered by materialism. It is said, it is not required to cheat anybody to win. Managing to get the profit alone is something like aiming at the scoreboard in a tennis game without hitting the ball. This is a beautiful example we come across in a book called Power of Ethical Management, written by Blanchard and Vincent Peale. He says, you must concentrate the ball. You must concentrate in hitting the ball. That is the primary duty of you. You need not look at the scoreboard. If you go on looking at the scoreboard, you cannot hit the ball properly. And how can you win the game? So like that, this materialism should not aim at only winning things at the cost of cheating people. This we must keep in our mind. And knowledge is power, as we all know, but this power is for good as well as bad. You know, many people in the history, they used their power for all unethical and illegal activities. Even Hitler, he was so powerful, he utilized his energies for massacring. We know that. A huge massacre got registered in the history of human during Hitler's time. But it is high time to realize that increase of knowledge without increase of wisdom will increase the sorrow. Increase of knowledge without increase of wisdom. I insisted our young friends in particular to go through Vivekananda's thoughts. Swami Vivekananda says, education is information in the beginning, and that must get transformed into knowledge, and ultimately it must result in wisdom. What is wisdom? According to Shankaracharya, it is yukta yukta viveka, the discriminative power between what is right and what is wrong. I may be very highly intelligent, but when I don't have the art of discriminating between what is right and wrong, if I go on doing only the wrong things, how can I get success? I will perish. I'll become a victim for my own disintegration. So, Shankaracharya, I quoted the shloka in the beginning, mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam also aims at developing a better personality. Developing a better personality, developing positive strength, developing optimistic attitude. These things come under mumukshutvam, and longing for a higher level of life. That is very important. That's what Albert Einstein also in one of his lectures says. Can you think beyond self? Can you think beyond self? That is the challenge put forth by Albert Einstein also. So Vivekananda says, education is wisdom. Education is not information. It is not something like cut and paste information. You have so many people doing research. We have many PhDs, but very few research scholars. We have many MS, MD, but a very few true doctors. We have so many MTechs, but very few engineers. This is true. Our universities are producing lakhs and lakhs of graduates every year. But you know how irresponsible our people are today. Even the patients are not cooperating with the doctors and the paramedical staff in the hospitals who have come for the rescue. The staff wants to rescue these people from the danger. But these people, they are facing the danger. The people who have come for the rescue of others, they are really facing the danger. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. I read in newspaper 2-3 days back that a lady doctor from Mysore, a product of JSS Medical College, was honored in America for her good services during this COVID-19. She was standing in front of her house, almost 100 vehicles passing in front of her house. They greeted her in their own way. See, an Indian doctor working in America is respected reverentially there. But here, our own doctors is being beaten by our own people. This speaks about, see, what is the importance of culture? What is the importance of the human attitude? How much this culture is playing. We have to think of how much it is very important in our day-to-day life. It is not mere intellectual gigantism that counts. It is a humanistic impulse. Any man to become a genius, there must be a synthesis of the godliness and manliness. I may be intellectually very strong, but mere intellectual gigantism will not suffice. Humanistic impulse is also very important. And today I read in our today's newspaper that wife of our Honorable President of India, Mother Savita, was stitching masks to provide them to the rehabilitants. You just imagine, the first citizen's wife, our Honorable President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovindji's wife, she is Mother Savita, she was stitching the masks to distribute among the poor people and the needy people. Very rare to come across such great examples, you see. Many youngsters postponed their marriages because of their preoccupied work in the hospitals and in the respective departments. Many, even a lady doctor from Pune, she was a pregnant, even in spite of so much of discomforts, she became a prominent person in getting the COVID kit prepared, and our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji appreciated her. And even we have come across an example from Orissa, where a police constable could not go to the funeral of his own mother. See, these are the things we have in plenty in our society. We have quite a good number of people who are culturally, morally, and ethically very strong. And it is really a surprise to see in the television and to read in the newspapers that people getting confined to their houses has become the toughest task in their lives. It is very, very unfortunate, because when we see the doctors and all the staff people going to the patient, treating the patient in spite of so much of danger to their own lives, why can't people sit in their houses, go through some good books written by great souls, listening to some beautiful music, learning something new in their houses? We have our own way of developing knowledge. And this speaks about what an amount of negative influence we have acquired because of modern education. When we were students, when we were children, we were more confined to our houses. Whenever there was a work, something like that, we used to go out of the house to execute the work, and immediately after completing the work, we used to get back to our house. But very unfortunately, today people spend majority of their time outside the house. That is not at all necessary. That is not at all necessary. We must keep this in mind. So, knowledge must become wisdom, I was saying. And increase of mere knowledge without acquiring wisdom will increase our sorrow. Bertrand Russell made it very beautifully that knowledge alone cannot keep us happy and peaceful. Even Vivekananda, after traveling in all the provinces of dependent India, he came to a logical conclusion, and he made a statement beautifully. By studying this statement, we can understand the mindset of so-called educators in those days. Swamiji says, I have traveled far and wide. I have traveled in all the provinces of the country, including the central province. I have not come across a single self-made man. Mind you, if you come across any self-made man, he had his education elsewhere, not in India. The Western education has merely and entirely turned out our people into persons who are next door neighbors to brutes. These are the words of Swami Vivekananda. And he continues telling that give light to poor and more light to rich. Give light to uneducated and more light to educated. See, here we come across the exact difference between illiterate and educated. Who is educated? Who is illiterate? Educated, he knows how to read and write. But at the same time, we cannot take it for granted that anybody who knows reading and writing is educated. He cannot be. He cannot. Many a times, he cannot be. See, these are the things because we concentrated only for the process of gaining knowledge or the intellectual knowledge or acquiring some information during our schooling. As a graduate of engineering, see what a pathetic condition we come across in engineering and medical colleges of the world today, you know. Even today, while you prepare an engineer or a doctor, you have at the top of the question paper, answer 6 questions out of 10. So you are preparing an engineering graduate. If he is capable of answering 6 questions out of 10, he gets promoted as an engineer. If a medico can answer 6 questions beautifully out of 10, he is a successful graduate of medicine, I mean. So that is only the theoretical knowledge. The real challenge starts after we get into the public field. I want to quote the words of a great personality who happened to be the chairman for the Encyclopedia Britannica, a collection of few volumes. Mortimer Adler, his name is. In the foreword, he writes, the real education of any student will start after he or she quits the college. The real education of any child will start after he or she quits the college. Then you may ask me, what is the purpose of going to colleges all these years? He says, by going to colleges, by going to universities, you acquired 2 very important lessons. Number 1, very important, you could learn, you could get your intellectual curiosity enhanced. Number 2, it has taught you a lesson that you cannot confine learning to a particular period of time. Rather, it is a lifelong exercise. Learning is a lifelong exercise. Our getting graduation degree is a part of our learning. And secondly, studying spiritual books, studying motivational scriptures. We are very fortunate. We have Bhagavad Gita to our credit. We have Upanishads. We have the works of Swami Vivekananda. We have the works of great people. Very simple language, very nearer to our day-to-day life. Very practical ideas. When we go through such details, definitely it helps us. It will add grace to our success story. That is there. We can be of greater service to our family and also to our society at large. You have different mentality people among our midst. I shall quote you the different aspects of it. On one side, you have 2 people conversing each other. Mr. A says, Mr. B, you can't do this work. If you can't do, I shall do. If you can't do this, if you can't, I shall do that. If you can, I shall do better. See, this is a conversation on one side. I repeat, this is a conversation. If you can't do this work, I shall do. If you can, I shall do better. The conversation that took place on the other side, 2 people are conversing. One says, you can't do that. Then how can I do? If you can, You do. You do. You are meant for doing. I shall enjoy the fruits. You do. See the ocean of difference between the two mindsets. When you can't do, I shall do. When you do, I shall do better. This speaks about the positive attitude of an individual. And it may look like very individual development, but you should know history is created by people of positive thinking. It is good to read history, yes, but it is better to create history. This should be the ideal before our youngsters. And we are all every day in our day-to-day life, we have the conflict between our rights and duties. Very unfortunately, in independent India, we are very fond of our rights and we have conveniently ignored our duties. We have conveniently forgotten that the number of duties are more compared to number of rights propounded by our constitution. We always fight for rights. We ignore duties. The conflict between rights and duties, the conflict between achievements and aspirations. We have so many aspirations. That is a big lot, but we achieve very small. Finally, there is a conflict between self-growth and societal growth. We never take it for granted that societal growth includes our growth also. This is what Sri Ramakrishna guided Narendranath, Atmano Mokshartham Jagadhitayacha, Sri Ramakrishna Mission's ideal. By serving for the welfare of the world, you will also have the salvation for your individual earth, your individual life. So our youngsters at any point of time, they should never be partial about lazy way of life. Hard work will fetch us everything. That is most important. To quote the words of one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyanandaji, a great saint, he always used to insist the youngsters who used to come to our ashrams. You all know you will have maximum youngsters attending the moral and ethical classes conducted in our Ramakrishna ashramas. We have a separate program called Vivekananda Human Excellence Programs. Every ashram in the country, even abroad, we have this program either in a big scale or in a small scale, but that is a very important activity of our ashramas, Institute of Human Excellence. Swami Turiyanandaji, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, once while guiding an youngster, he says, "My dear young boy, try to be in the company of saints and spiritual people. Try to be in the company of saints and spiritual people. If it is not possible, cultivate the habit of reading the spiritual texts like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Viveka Chudamani, Atma Bodha, or any other important books written by the great souls." The third sentence is quite important. Swamiji says, try to meditate on the minds of the people who are morally and ethically good. He says, because mind controls mind. This is a very, very beautiful aspect that is required for our spiritual growth. Spiritual personality, it is all inclusive. I may be a very successful man as far as my social life is concerned, about my family life is concerned, about my community life is concerned. But unless and until I become successful in the spiritual endeavors, I am an incomplete man. then our youngsters may ask me a question. Is it possible for everybody and anybody to become successful spiritually? See, let us try. Let us sincerely put forth our efforts. As Shankaracharya said, Manushyatvam, the humane aspect. Mumukshutvam, longing for higher level of life. See, we may appreciate truth. To remain truthful is a higher challenge. Satyam vada, dharmanchara. Acharya Upadesha in Taittiriya Upanishad says, Satyanna pramaditavyam, dharmanna pramaditavyam, kushalanna pramaditavyam, bhutyairna pramaditavyam. This is the first convocation address in human history. Nowhere you come across such a very practical ideas, very effective ideas for an outgoing student from a Gurukula. Gurukula system of education was so successful. It was very effective because the teacher was a man of moral and ethical stand. And students used to live 365 days with his Guru. They used to observe the Guru and they used to imbibe so many qualities from their Guru. And they were taught even the most ordinary work in the Gurukula up to the highest of human birth, that is God realization, up to getting immersed into meditation, and that may, in future, that may lead to Atma Sakshatkar, as Shankaracharya says. So, youngsters, when they are physically strong, when they are in the pink of their health, when they can appreciate positive thoughts, mere appreciation is not sufficient. As Swami Vivekananda says, our attitude of today will decide our attitude of tomorrow. A country cannot be raised just by raising the roofs of the buildings, but by raising the minds of the people. This is most important. The prevention is better than cure. Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji beautifully implemented a nationwide principle by telling people, he requested people to prevent the negative effect of COVID-19. See, prevention is the highest way of solving our problem. Curing is something, once you cannot prevent, once you get affected, then you will start the process of giving treatment. Curing cannot be the highest level of prevention, I mean. To prevent the problem, that is the greatest challenge. No doubt, the whole country, the whole world is facing this. We also feel very bad. One of our brother monks in New York Ramakrishna Mission, he passed away because of COVID. We could not even go to his cremation. Swamis could not attend his cremation, the funeral program. The problem is very severe, but with all that, we should always keep in our mind that a strong mind, a vibrant mind, a pure mind can face any challenge for that matter. It is said, a controlled mind can only allow a man to remain moral and ethically strong in the society. We may have quite a good number of degrees to our credit. We may have greater performance in our professions, but the greatest challenge before us today is that can we manage the situation properly? That is the greatest challenge. Are we in a position to manage the problem? For an optimist, it is not a problem, rather it is just a challenge. Yes, we are born to face the challenge, manage the challenge. As Mark Twain beautifully says, what is courage? Courage is not absence of fear. Courage is not something like running away from fear. Rather, courage is welcoming fear, managing fear, winning over fear, and making fear an object of our happiness. Excellent utterance of Mark Twain. And every young man must inculcate the habit of going through at least 2-3 pages of what Vivekananda has said. That particular book, Letters of Vivekananda, it is available in almost all Indian languages. It has got 768 letters written by Swami Vivekananda. And the way he guided people, how he guided teachers, social workers, the divans of India of that time, the kings of India. He writes a letter to the Maharaja of Mysore, Chamarajendra Odayar IV, and he concludes the letter with this beautiful sentence: "My dear Maharaja, life is short. Vanities of the world are transient, but they alone live who live for others. Rest are more dead than alive. Life is short. Vanities of the world are transient, but they alone live who live for others." Let us take this part of the sentence, the guidelines of Vivekananda. They alone live who live for others. We have to live for others. Then what is life? In the beginning I told, it is a great challenge. It is a struggle. The unfoldment, as Vivekananda said, the unfoldment and development of a being under the circumstances tending to press it down is life. But what he says now, they alone live. They alone live who live for others. So every educated person, every man with this sense of humanity must think very seriously on these lines, that our life is not for our own sake. We should not remain self-centered. We have a wider perspective. We have a greater world. That makes the difference between an individual, a personality, and a citizen. This is very much true. An individual becomes individualistic. He will be self-centered. But getting education, getting nourished by different aspects of education, he becomes a personality. Yes. Then how to become a citizen? Just registering our name in voters list and ration cards doesn't mean that we are the citizens of the country. So before I conclude, I shall quote from a text written by Nani Palkiwala, explaining his own experience of his visit to Japan in early 70s. We all know Japan was bombed during Second World War. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were burnt into ashes. The soil became toxic, even to grow the food grains. And people suffered a lot because of skin diseases, because of so much of chemical infections after bombing. And it was really painful to know that the children who were born after the Second World War, majority of them were handicaps. The whole world did not care the suffering of Japan at that time. The people of Japan, the elderly personalities, they gathered, they had a serious discussion how to make our country a strong country again. As you know, people will have their own opinion, but finally they determined to build a strong country by giving more importance to moral and ethical education, nation building education, I must say. So in 1971, Japan conducted Expo 70. They exhibited more than 4,000 newly discovered things by their own scientists and people. They invited people from 200 countries as representatives to have a good stay in Japan, to view what they could achieve in last 25 years. India was represented by Nani Palkiwala. a great thinker, a renowned advocate of those days. Nani Palkiwala has got quite a good number of books to his credit, and I appreciate one of his books, We the People, We the Nation. I'm very fond of that book. I enjoy that book very much. So he has quoted his experience during his visit to Japan and his conversation with the then Prime Minister of Japan. So he was amazed to see the development of Japan. During dinner, he was sitting next to the Prime Minister of Japan. They had a beautiful, cordial conversation. And during conversation, Nani Palkiwala questioned the Prime Minister of Japan. Sir, we are 70 crore people in India. You are just 7 crore people in Japan. What India could not achieve with 70 crore people, you have achieved it just with 7 crore people. What is the secret? Question is simple and straight. Prime Minister of Japan immediately answered, Nani, yes. With a small correction of your question, I feel myself justified that I have given you the right answer. You said you are 70 crore people and we are just 7 crore people. I am sorry. India may have 70 crore people, but we are 7 crore, not mere people. We are citizens. We are citizens. You are people. You said you are people, but I don't accept that we are mere people. We are citizens. This happened in 1971. Now we are heading towards 2021. I'm again repeating this story after 50 years. Even today, we don't know the difference between a citizen and a people. Matters like CAA, we are observing how much we are facing the disturbance in the minds of the people to develop India into a democratic nation by getting all the citizens registered, their details getting registered. People are not cooperating. We want to have everything in the country, but we don't want to register ourselves as citizens. And secondly, when the government asks you some details pertaining to your citizenship, you are not ready to give. So with this mindset, can you build a strong democratic country? We are the biggest democratic country, no doubt. But are we the strongest democratic country? And the education what we have come across till date in last 75 years, have we taught our people, our children, the patriotic spirit? People are very proud of their caste. People are very proud of their community. It may go to the extent of just religion. But as a whole, can we take it for granted that India is very strong? This question is yet to be answered. The reason is very simple. We have taken our literacy program. I'm sorry to say this. Our education system, the education system of our country, in first 5 decades, it has ruined our country. It has ruined. It has not developed self-confidence aspect in our individuals. It has not developed any patriotic spirit in the minds of our people. If you ask people, you want to become self-dependent or you want to become a parasite, they are very happy to get their name inducted into the association of parasites. They have education, but unfortunately I'm making this statement, we are not graduates or educators, we are literates. We know how to read and write. So this mindset has really threatened us. It has really made us to face even a small problem with greatest fear because of the lack of self-confidence, self-esteem. Morally and ethically, we are not strong enough. And we have not yet understood that individually people could create history of the countries. One man could create the history of a country. Just a handful of people could transform the country from a pathetic condition to a well-off condition. This is the point. So that is why our integral 0 to pi by 2 sine to the power of 4x ds will not suffice to get peace of mind. Our Le-Chatelier principle, law of mass action, chemical equilibrium, anything pertaining to science and technology, anything pertaining to our text cannot give us the satisfaction and solace. That is entirely a different aspect of education. That is what Shankaracharya said, Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam. That is what Bhagavad Gita says, Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam, Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam, Tekto Tishta Parantapa. That's what Swami Vivekananda in modern times presented like this. Strength is life, weakness is death. It is more honorable to accept the defeat in the right path than trying for success through wrong means. These are the great ideals. It is not only for just quoting. We have to imbibe that ideas. We have to inculcate. We have to bring them into practice in our day-to-day life. That is the real success. That is the real essence of our life. So then only you will have the greatest difference between life and existence. We have life. It is not mere existence. So, even at this very crucial juncture, I am so confident that Indian scriptures, great souls like Bhagavan Buddha, Sri Shankaracharya, Sri Ramakrishna Vivekananda, and such a galaxy of great souls we have, they have given us enough the message of strength, message of wisdom, and we have to go through such things, and we must inculcate the habit of swadhyaya, every day reading some text, a few pages at least, and conversing with people of wisdom, getting the doubts clarified, and to the best of our ability to implement such ideals in our day-to-day life. This is most important, and for any youngster, it is high time and it is absolutely possible to transform his life from an ordinary strata into an extraordinary path, into an extraordinary stage, I mean. So I wish all our students of company secretary course to develop this tendency of studying Swami Vivekananda's powerful capsules, the powerful message, the man-making and character-building message. Because as he said, education is man-making and character-building. Education is not mere getting graduation certificate. And this is ultimately the message of strength, the true message for life. Let us all, even in our Gayatri, Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. This is also the journey of strength from a point of lower strength to a point of higher strength. That's why Chandogya Upanishad says, think in a big way, low aim is a crime. Think in a big way. Swami Vivekananda beautifully mentioned, the life is a journey of truth. Human life is a journey of truth. It is a journey from truth to truth. Of course, from lower truth to higher truth. God has created us with a purpose. Each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity. We are born to do something great in life. Even ordinary works can be done with extraordinary mind. We must be answerable to all our activities. We must be answerable to all our actions. It is a simple mathematics. We should not remain liability to our family and society. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. If you want to correct the world, correct yourself first. Thereby, you are reducing the number of fools by one. Let us start this great process of transformation from ourselves. And to conclude, this positive thinking or positivity is a chronic. If one child of the family, if he prospers better in his studies, naturally all the youngsters, whether a girl or boy, will imitate his elder brother. When you bring a piece of iron in contact with a magnet, the iron will experience magnetism. The flower may be very colorful, the flower may be very beautiful, but it becomes worth for worship when it has got fragrance in it. This fragrance is our attitude. It is our character. It is our ability to face any circumstance in life. And at any point of time, we must always keep in our mind that any failure is not end of life, and any success is not the final success of our life. I think I have conveyed enough today for my young brothers and sisters of Company Secretaries Association. I wish them all a great success in their future examinations, and I appreciate the greater experienced souls of our association like our Gopal Krishna ji, Nagendra ji, and all the galaxy of great souls who are making this association a worthy association and a prominent association in the country's administration. And I do enjoy the company of you people. In fact, when I was invited for a program in Bangalore, Richmond Circle, Taj Group of Hotels program that was inaugurated by HR Bharadwaj in the morning, and I was requested to give the valedictory address in the evening. I enjoyed that very much, and that is still green in my memory even after 11 years. And later on, during our Silver Jubilee function in Tumkur Ramakrishna Ashram, when we had organized Rajata Artha, we conducted 13 programs, a program in each month. And we had our Ramakrishna Mission Vice President Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj for the inauguration in the first month. And we had our Honorable Prime Minister, Rajarshi Narendra Modi Ji, for our concluding function. He was kind enough to come on live video like this and addressed our children of Tumkur, 26,000 students. It was a very beautiful program. I was mentioning about Rajata Artha, that was exclusively for the company secretaries, the chartered accountants, the auditors, the bank officers, and the LIC staff. And even today, I remember Gopal Krishna Hegde and yourself, you brought nearly 250 students from Bangalore, some of our office bearers also, you participated, and Mr. Gopal Krishna Hegde was on this, he shared the stage with us, and you have given so much of cooperation in the upcoming of our ashram also. I reverentially remember all the services you did. And whenever I come across any company secretary during my programs here and there, immediately you all people come to my mind. And I remember all of you for all the good services you have done. And again, this is another great opportunity I very sincerely feel to share my thoughts with our youngsters and our good friends of the association on this occasion. And to the best of my ability, I could share the thoughts, what I have experienced and enjoyed. And I wish our people a very successful results in their forthcoming examinations. And again, I thank our organization for extending me an invitation to be a part of this interview, the seminar. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Jai Ram Krishna.
Swamiji, there are a few questions which have been asked by our esteemed members and students.
Please.
I would request if you could kindly enlighten us on that.
Please, please.
One of the member have asked how to be positive in present situation.
The answer is this. If you don't want to remain positive, then what is your option? Are you sure that negativity will take you to the highest level of success? And we have come across so many examples, striking examples, where people out of hook and crook in their negative ways, even though they achieved something, they could not enjoy the fruit. They become miserable failures. So the question can be answered like this. See, to remain positive, first and the foremost need for that is your own individual. If you want to remain positive, if you want to remain ethically and morally strong, that is your achievement. That is truly your upcoming in life. Let us not worry about the family or society or country at large. If you determine to remain positive, if you want to enjoy the positive fruits, and at the same time you must keep in your mind that if I grow something, I may get some fruits or crops this year. It doesn't end there itself. The fruits and crops, what I could acquire this year because of the cultivation, they become the seeds for the next year's agricultural work. Like that, when I do a work sincerely, getting a few thousand rupees or few lakh rupee is not the end. Getting money for my work is not the exact product. It is a byproduct. It is a byproduct. Then you may ask me, what is the product? Would I convince you by my way of executing work? Could I get your confidence? Can I expect again an offer from you? Can I be of some service to you in future also? These are the things. These are the things. This is very individual.
Okay, Swamiji.
It's very individual. Very individual. See, that is ultimately that leads to the fulfillment of our life in the truest sense.
Swamiji, there is another question.
Please.
Does our positive thinking have an impact on environment in any way, as we say that we are all connected to each other?
Yes. I told it is contagious. If a teacher, if he goes to the library of the college, picking a book, if he sits for studying, don't you feel many of the students gets encouraged? They will also get into the library. They will also pick some book and start reading in the library. If a teacher says, if I practice handwriting for a month, copywriting I mean, my handwriting gets beautified. This is what Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita said. Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tatta devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Whatever the elderly people in the society does, that will be followed by the younger generation. The elder people will set an example for the younger generations to follow. If you do good things, it becomes chronic. Obvious, if you do bad things, that also becomes chronic. It will have
There
a
is,
wonderful impact. Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no doubt in it.
Swamiji, there is another question. How to
Please.
generate positive thoughts at depression?
Depression. So, first and foremost thing is, you have to bring that person out of that depression phase zone. The zone where he is living is very supportive to his depressive attitude. His nearest and dearest people must care for his health. They must get him to the nearby Ramakrishna ashrama. They must introduce that person to the Swami there, who is in charge of human excellence. And slowly, some good words of confidence, good words of appreciation, good words of love and affection, and suggesting such people to go through some book which can cater the need of the hour, that will definitely take them out of danger. Definitely that helps a lot, because I sincerely tell you, I swear, we could stop many of the suicides. Many students who failed in their examinations, they almost decided to commit a suicide. Fortunately, they came in contact with ashram. They were properly advised, and slowly they could realize that what they had decided was not the solution for that. Because suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Whatever may be the extent of the mistake he has committed today, if he commits suicide, that becomes a bigger mistake then. See, God has blessed us with a human life. We can do anything and everything. God will come to our doorstep, looking at our life, looking at our power of ethics. God will come to our doorstep. The ethical life is the greatest strength.
Swamiji, there is another question. How
Please.
to make subconscious mind overpower the conscious mind?
Again, these things we can achieve by coming in contact with people of ethical strength. Slowly, please cultivate the habit of meditation. Meditation will strengthen us. Positive thoughts will strengthen us. The company of good people will strengthen us. Of course, this should be inculcated, cultivated for a few months, not for just a day or two. Meditation is the highest solace. We have different types of meditation, of course. When we get exposed to different types of meditations, we can choose according to our taste and need. Imagination, as we all know, imagination of anything is something like meditating on an infinite form, meditating on the finite form of an infinite strength. Worshipping infinity in the finite form.
There is another beautiful question. Positive thought, do we create it ourselves or do I get it from external source like revered Guruji like you or a motivational speaker or faith in God?
When I say each soul is potentially divine, when Amrita Bindu Upanishad declared that there is butter already in milk, we have quite a good amount of goodness in us. Our Guruji, Swami Purushottomanandaji, used to tell, you have both Rama and Ravana within you. Rama Tattva, Ravana Tattva. If you nourish Rama Tattva, you will appreciate Rama and you will follow Rama in your day-to-day life. If you nourish Ravana Tattva, you will follow Ravana. But you should keep in mind that is quite a good amount of positivity is already there in us. See, because of that only we could get the human birth. Human birth is not an accident. It is not that easy to get the human birth. Even according to spirituality, according to material science also, suddenly we cannot acquire human birth. We have studied the beautiful story of evolution. We have to pass through several thousand stages to reach Homo sapiens stage. The moment we get the human birth, that itself is the greatest blessing of God. We have put the chemicals together, crystallization will start now. We have everything, but that should be properly channelized, properly shaped. To tell you that, I shall quote one small story. There was a sculptor well known for his work. He was an excellent sculptor of the area. People had great respect for him. One day, some conversation was going on with the people of the place with that sculptor. When people asked him, sir, you are an expert in carving the statue of any god for that matter. You are so perfect. What is the secret of your success? What is the secret of your success? Then immediately he said, if I reveal out the secret of my success, perhaps you may not believe me. He said, when you give me a rock, a stone, something like that, to carve a statue, if you give a log of wood to carve a statue, the first and the foremost thing what I do is, I meditate in front of that rock, in front of that log of wood. I meditate on my deity, my individual God. My God, you are already hiding in this log. You are already there. Your perfect picture is there already hiding. It is hidden there. My job is to chip off the unwanted things. When I chip off the unwanted things, I will be left with the wanted statue to be carved. Got it? So like that, the optimistic attitude of a human, more and more getting associated with people of positive attitude, more and more believing. Swami Vivekananda said this beautifully. What is that? He who believes in our 333 crore deities, if you don't believe in yourself, then you are an atheist. To whatever extent I may believe my God, unless and until I believe myself, there is no survival for me. I cannot get the rescue. And it is true, every human being is bestowed with some capacity. Every man has a purpose in life. God has created us with a purpose. We are nobody in his list. We are somebody. Many a
Swamiji,
time, yes.
I think more than the technical, whenever we are having webinars on the technical topics, I think the questions which have been posed over here are much more than the questions which are raised on the technical topics what our members and students study. There
I
are around
told,
98 questions.
yes.
There
Oh,
are
oh.
around 98 questions. Of course, most of these questions are based around how to create positive energy, how to be positive, especially during depression or at the time of studying, or the question which has been just now answered by you, Swamiji.
Very nice to get 98 questions. I'm short of 2 questions to make the century.
No, it has just come to me. There may be many more questions which will be coming in a short while.
Yes. Many of
I
the
don't know
questions
how
may
much
be
time it
common.
may take.
Many of the questions may be common also. And I'm
Yes,
very
yes,
happy.
yes.
I'm very happy because they have asked me the worthy questions, the need of the hour. And they need not hesitate. Let them get associated with Ramakrishna ashramas. Let them get the literature from the ashrama books. You might have observed that every Ramakrishna ashrama will have a book stall. We give importance to book stall as much as we give importance to our meditation hall. I'm also very happy to receive some of the very important questions. And if you can text the questions to me, I shall get
I
it
will
in
do.
writing and send it to you. By some means, we shall again continue the association with all our people who have asked the questions also. Once again, thank you very much. This is a very
Yes,
nice
Swami.
occasion and opportunity for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. I would request you to kindly hold for a minute or so.
Yes,
Formally, I would like to propose a vote of thanks as well. But friends, before I propose the vote of thanks to Revered Swamiji, I have few important announcements for members and students. So I request all the esteemed members and students to kindly stay connected post vote of thanks. Revered Swamiji had spoke about the most important thing, believing oneself. In other words, we say aham brahmasmi. That is what I understand, that Brahma lives within me and I can take all the necessary steps in order to create that courage, in order to create that strength, in order to create that attitude, in order to create that habit, in order to create a system, a value. As we talk about in ICSI, we have our own vision and motto, where our motto of our institute is Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara, which you also spoke about the Traitiya Upanishad. I am highly delighted to once again have you in the webinar, having your discourse, and I am sure that your word of wisdom, your preachings will be great help and solace to all the members and students. Apart from that, I would also feel, and I am also confident that the preaching of Your Holiness and the blessings of Lord Dhanvantari at this COVID stage and Goddess Chamundeshwari will bestow peace and prosperity to humankind. I once again thank Swamiji for accepting our invitation at the shortest possible time. I know when Mr. Pratap called me yesterday, there was heavy rains, network issues were there, but in spite of that, the positive energy, the positive attitude in which this program has concluded, I am sure there is a divine blessings, and I am sure with this divine blessings, all our esteemed members and students, it will help all our members and students in a long way. I also take this particular opportunity in thanking Mr. Pradeep Simha and our own Namma C.S. Gopal Krishna Hegde for helping, for supporting, and for encouraging us and facilitating this memorable event. I would also like to thank C.S. Chetan Patel, my council colleague, and chairman who is of the IT and director of information technology, Dr. Nikat Khan, for making such an vibrant as well as helping and supporting in technical ways, so that there are no glitches, there are no issues so far as this particular webinar is concerned. Swamiji, we feel that we are truly blessed with your words of wisdom, and I am sure that your preachings, your word of wisdom will inculcate new value system to all our CS fraternity. Thank you once again. My pranams to your lotus feet.
Nagendraji, just a minute, just a sentence. When there was a problem pertaining to the broadband in our ashrama, I immediately contacted one gentleman by name S. Naganna, the editor of Praja Pragati, a very popular newspaper in our area. He will cover 6 districts of Karnataka here, and he is right now the deputy chairman for our Red Cross Society of Karnataka, a very good social worker. Just 2 hours before I called him, and he instructed his daughter Shilpa, who looks after the studio, to do what are needed. So with the kind help of Sri Naganna and sister Shilpa, of course, as you mentioned, our Pradeep Simha, we could get our program materialized. God is great, and your Sankalpa and Gopal Krishna's Sankalpa is very, very sincere. God could make our dreams realized today because of your Sankalpas. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Swamiji. I request all our esteemed members and students to stay connected. There are certain important announcements to be made, so I request all the esteemed members and students to stay connected, please. Good afternoon, dear members and students. There are certain important announcements to be made to members as well as students. I will first take the issue of the students and highlight the various initiatives being taken by the council and by the ICSI. First, as a vice president of the esteemed institute, I would like to reiterate the words of the president and myself when we have shared with the students so far as examination is concerned, that examination is on. Examination will be held as per the scheduled timetable. There is no postponement so far as the exam is concerned as of today. The examination committee of the institute, council colleagues, all are monitoring on a daily basis and are seeing the various ground realities. And in the event in case there is a necessity to postpone the exam, necessary information will be informed at that appropriate time. As of today, the exam is as per the schedule. I request all the esteemed students to kindly concentrate on the exams, and I am sure with the positive message which is given by the revered Swamiji, as well as positive message given by your own gurus in the various classes, what students are one of the important stakeholders or the important stakeholders so far as the ICSI is concerned. ICSI will ensure that all necessary steps are taken in the interest of students. So with that, I would request all the students to kindly concentrate for the examination so far as is concerned. Various initiatives have been taken by the institute, and I am proud to say, as the chairman of TEFC, a big compliment to the team of the TEFC, committee members of the TEFC, and the council as a whole. Various initiatives taken by the TEFC, that is Training, Education and Facilities Committee, which consists of Department of Academics, which consists of Department of Student Services, and which consists of Department of Training. After the COVID, you will find that the Department of Academics have taken various initiatives for the students. CSEET bulletin first issue has been released in the April. Mock test for the CSEET have been made live. Student Company Secretary has been revamped. Regulatory updates of COVID-19 is being covered and is being sent to the students. New case digest series like case snippets, case studies, important case laws are being which have been pronounced are being also circulated to all the students. In fact, case digest has also been circulated to all the esteemed members of our profession. Training module have been revamped. Monthly updates are been sent, are now also been made available under the academic portal. Department have also scheduled various online lectures on the subjects where the students did not perform well in December 2019 examination. Study material for the executive and professional programs have been revised and has also been uploaded for the June 2020 examination. Similarly, you will find the Department of Student Services have also taken various initiatives, like say for example, last date of filing of examination form. The same was reopened, the window was reopened for 3 more days, and those students who could not file the examination form, they could file the examination form with this extended reopening of the window. The late filing fee has been waived off. The mandatory retirement of the one-day orientation program pre-examination text has been relaxed. The students can complete the same up to 30th April. Online live classes for the students of class teaching whose physical classes were suspended. So online live classes are being conducted. Last date for claiming exemption-based exemptions have also been extended. Webinars have been conducted where President and Vice President have clarified many doubts along with the heads of the department of all the 3 academics, student services and training. Similarly, Department of Training has also undertaken various initiatives like making e-MSOP. Many of the students were undertaking MSOP in various chapters, various regional councils. They could not complete. So we have relaxed the condition of 2 years bar, and we had said e-MSOP can be done by any student who have passed the professional examination. Similarly, 15 days e-academic program have been made, including 8 days e-EDP, 3 days e-governance, 5 days day skill development program has also been done. Similarly, we have also sent an information with regards to relaxation in submitting the first quarterly report in the institute records during the period of complete lockdown. Similarly, late submission of training documents have also been accepted. Initiation of the training, the students need to intimate to the Directorate of Training. The exemption of 15 days academic training program is concerned, depending upon the qualifying of the executive program. If it is done after August 25th, 2015, the student can do 8 EDP. That is through EDP he can do it, e-EDP can also be done. So various initiatives have been taken by the Department Department of Student Services, by the Department of Training, by the Department of Training, Student Services and Academics. I am sure that all these things are for the benefit of the students. I would advise that though we are under lockdown, but physically we are under lockdown, but mentally we do not think that there is any lockdown so far as the students are concerned. I request all the students that with all this initiative taken and many more initiatives which will be taken by the institute, I am sure, I am confident that all the students will do well and pass the examination with flying colors. Similarly, with regards to information with regards to members are concerned, 4 days crash courses, 4 crash courses have been launched by the institute starting from 27th onwards. I request all the esteemed members to take the benefit of those crash courses which has been launched. Dear members, as the Vice President of the institute, often on one or the other occasion we have seen that few of our esteemed members are writing certain information or posting certain things in the social media which is either unparliamentary or either which is derogatory or which is not acceptable as a professional. As a professional, as a member of our institute, I would request each and every member of the institute to kindly refrain from all such activities. There are guidelines pertaining to posting on social media. I request all the esteemed members to be thorough with those particular guideline, because many of the members are putting their thoughts in social media which is against the institute. Dear members, our institute has been built with the support of all the esteemed members, by all the sacrifices which has been done by our senior members. We should not, since world is looking at us, everybody are looking at us, and we are under the public domain, I would request not to use certain unparliamentary languages by our esteemed members, not to use certain things which will create a negative impact, which will create a negative image of the institute. There are many more initiatives which are there for the members. I understand that there are a couple of webinars which are going to be held, and in one of the webinar, our beloved President is going to address. In that being the situation, I would refrain from talking about those particular initiatives, because I would request the President to talk on those particular matters so far as the members of the institute is concerned. I am deeply indebted to all my council colleagues and all the HODs for excellently organizing the program, for all the initiatives being done for the members and for the students, for the growth of the profession. I once again thank each and every member, each and every student for joining all the webinars. There may be some technical issues that will be sorted out shortly. However, I request all the members to cooperate with us, and I am sure that coming days would be more brighter. With these few words, I would conclude. I would request each and everyone, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.